We are in our 28th or 29th year, which is very exciting, and we keep going stronger every year. So I'm going to give a little background about the program before I turn it over to Joyce and her team, and a little bit of information for you. First of all, the event itself this year is on Thursday, November 5th. It's going to be at the Crystal Tea Room from 5:30 to 9 p.m. Anybody who has been in the past, you know what a celebration it is, and what an exciting and fun evening it is. And it is kind of like a who's who of HR. We've been getting between 250 to 300 people every year. We just to clarify, we are not the HR Person of the Year awards. There are two separate programs. HR Person is a SHRM-based program and usually takes place, I think, in like April or May. And our event takes place in November. However, we consider ourselves, sister brother programs, so we support each other. But our process is a little bit different. So if anybody's interested in potentially applying for the award, applications are now open. The deadline is October 1st, so you probably have about 2 months and a week or so to get your application in. There's no cost. You can self-nominate. You don't need someone outside to tell you, what a great HR department you are. If you feel you have a strong HR function or the different functions within your HR department, like talent acquisition and so forth, you can self-nominate. Also, any consultant, vendor, friend of any HR department can nominate your client. And then I'll go over the categories, but there's no limit. So some people think, well, I can only apply in one category. That's not correct. You can apply more than one category. And then we have a judging process. We have Mark Spool here today, and Mark is the lead judge. And you can go on the website, which is hrawards.org, to find out more about the judging process. But usually it's a group of past winners. Joyce, I don't know, have you been a judge or?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Joyce has been a judge, but and so the categories are: you can nominate your whole HR department. That's one application category. You can also do total rewards, employee relations, tech, talent management. We don't have diversity this year, so that's not part of the categories: talent acquisition, wellness, social responsibility. So if you have an interest in discussing the application or any questions that you have, I'm more than happy to talk to you. My cell phone and my email address are there at the bottom. So with that said, I have known Joyce for many, many years, and Joyce has always been a champion of really lots of things. HR is a general field and the impact of HR, but in particular, this past year, Joyce and her team won in the wellness category. So they're going to talk today about, I guess, the process, the journey to getting the award, and then they're going to talk about some of their, secret sauces or wheelhouse best practices to give you a little bit more insight into what went into winning the award. So with that, Joyce, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. That probably is going to be the easiest thing. I'll monitor the chat, but Joyce and her team will also be looking. So we'll try to get to questions and comments. Where your restrooms are, so I'm not going to tell you how to get to the restroom. And with that, Joyce, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks for making us laugh this morning, Scott. Such an early day. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's early day, but it is sunny skies, so it's a great day. My name's Joyce Hess. I'm the CHRO for Firstrust Bank, the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. But thanks for joining the session today. And I want to start with a thank you to you, Scott, for having this idea to have this award. We were just talking about ideas, and it's a great opportunity, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later on, but a great opportunity for HR departments to showcase what they're doing and show what their impact is for the organization. So today I'm joined by my colleagues, Vicki Driggs, she's the VP Payroll and Benefits Director, and Christine Cost, who is the Payroll and Benefits Specialist. They're really the ones that run all this. I'm really the spokesperson today. I'm the moderator, but they will also be joining me and giving some of their wisdom today. So the secret sauce, I guess it's not secret if we share, so we will share some of that sauce. So everybody here today probably has their own wellness program, maybe not, but one of the focuses today is not only why did we apply and why maybe should you apply, but also to share what we've done so that, this is the great thing about HR people. We like to share and we don't keep things to ourselves. It's not secret. And so we're happy to share what we're doing because we're so proud of what we do. And so we'll walk through how Firstrust built its award-winning wellness program, the vision behind it, the impact, and then also, why did we apply? So to keep things interactive, we'll pause for a few polls, and we're going to have our first poll just to keep everybody moving here. So let's figure out the room, so to speak. The quick poll is, how long has your own wellness program been up and running? We're just curious. More than 5 years is the majority. That's great. Less than a year. So, we'll be sharing what we do, and so maybe you'll learn some new things. And certainly for anybody that this is new, you'll definitely learn some things. But we're going to start with the next slide and talking about why apply. And all the folks on the call, I recognize some names, and welcome to the colleagues I know and new colleagues. We invest a significant amount of time on this type of program, and applying for the Excellence Award is the next step in gaining the recognition, not just internally, externally. It's your leadership team, it's your colleagues, your employees. And you get, if you apply, then you can say that you've applied and you're a finalist. So I think it's the next step really in gaining that recognition for the commitment that your organization has as part of your culture, the wellness of your employees. So I have a question for Christine. How much time would you say you spend, either monthly or however you want to share it with us, designing and managing and measuring the wellness program here at Firstrust?
I would say that we probably put aside about a minimum of 5 hours a week. But of course, with events and activities, it could always be more based on the needs of the program.
So. Right. When you have a big program coming up, I just saw that we have a water challenge coming up. And but there's also an educational piece. I was going to share that with folks later because it looks like it's really interesting. Thanks, Christine. That's a lot of time. But this is a robust program that she's running, so it makes sense to me. But that's the kind of thing that you're measuring too. You probably never think about how much time am I spending on this, and the application will help you determine that, and so you can share that with your leadership. It also it demonstrates to your leadership team the lasting impact that you have, that this program has for your people. And we all talk about it. What's the most important thing of an organization? The people. And this is the wellness program really focuses entirely on the people and helping people be healthier, know their numbers, it's education, it's engagement, etc. So let's talk about, next slide, the application process, because I know when I first was thinking about this, I thought, oh my gosh, it's going to take a lot of time, and I don't know. I encourage everyone to go in and look at the application, and you're going to see that, yes, it requires dedicated time, but it's not complex. What's complex is for you maybe collecting the data, but this is important because your leadership team wants to know what the impact is. So if this forces you to start looking at at measuring things and figuring out what the impact is to your organization, to the business, and then to your people, then that's a good thing. It provides a platform for you to showcase your initiatives, and I said this before, beyond your organization. So you're showing other organizations what you're doing. You're maintaining and showcasing the culture that you have of wellness. And it offers an opportunity for you to outline the program. So I wanted to ask Vicki or Christine, can you talk about the time and effort that you dedicated to the application process?
So Christine started the application process. She pretty much wrote everything. So we have really detailed procedures. So a lot of it really was just her putting on paper what we actually did every day. And then Joyce and I just added some of the history because of how we got started doing a wellness program. And then Joyce was really good at gearing us towards where we could add statistics to have it a better visual effect for everyone.
Thanks, Vicki. And I think that was Mark Spool that helped me through that and realize that we really need to put measurement in there and outcomes. So he was a great help with all of that. And I was going to ask how many rewrites, but I know for a fact that Christine didn't have to rewrite this. It was really, as you said, Vicki, us just adding in, and maybe fine tuning it. But really, she wrote it. And as you said, because we have really good processes and procedures. So anything that you wanted to add on that, Christine, since you're the writer?
I would just say utilize your vendors. Access the records that they have with participation, goals, trends, to really kind of give a robust picture of what your program looks like.
That's a really good point, Christine. Those of you that do use vendors, we use quite a few vendors, and Christine and Vicki are going to talk about that a little bit more later on. For those of you who don't have vendors, I have some suggestions. If you're doing this all on your own, I do have some suggestions for you. But so let's go into the history. The next slide starts to talk about the history of Firstrust's wellness program. And as many of you probably did, we started ours when we added a high deductible plan because we added the HSA, health savings account at that time, and we needed a way to fund that. But I wanted to ask a question right off the bat here of Vicki, probably will answer this one, on did we have a wellness program prior to that, and how did it, if you just tell me a little bit about how it started.
Yeah, so I've been with Firstrust for over 11 years, and this was even prior to me starting. So they were on HMO plans. It was just like everybody else. They were trying to get more creative of how to cut medical costs. So they introduced the high deductible health plan, and to ease the transition with the people, they just gave employees some wellness dollars. We fund directly to employees' HSA accounts because that's just the best practice for us. So through the course of time, you always have to get more creative to let the executives, stay on board of why you want to give this money. So then we started a wellness program. So rather than just give employees money because they're on a high deductible plan, we started to have wellness activities as well as biometric screenings to have the employee earn their dollars. So that's what our practice has been through the years, and it's worked very well for us because as employees are taking control of their own healthcare, it's helping them and it's helping the company as a whole. So
great Thanks for that summary, Vicki. That's exactly what I'm sure a lot of other people are experiencing, and then it evolves over time. And this is one of the things that Vicki and Christine do so well, is looking at the program every year and determining how can we keep it fresh, looking at it from a new perspective, and how do we add on more points. We'll talk about the inclusion that's really important for us to make things accessible for people and engaging for folks. So let's go to the next slide, and we'll get into the program foundation and the vision. The first, I'm not going to read through every single one of these, but really we take a holistic approach, and the program, it says here, supports, so we have pillars: physical, mental, financial, and social well-being. And I was going to ask Christine here, how did we determine those 4 pillars?
We really use the foundation of our main wellness provider, which is CHC Wellbeing, but we include and integrate our carriers for our employee benefits as well. So, for instance, our 401k is John Hancock, and they have monthly offerings for employees with webinars, and we integrate those into our programs so that the employees can be familiar with the carriers, and then also be aware of the vendors that we utilize on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is probably pretty common for everybody on the call. I didn't notice if there's any no questions here yet, but yeah, very common for wellness programs. I know in my past, these were very common pillars to engage with. I talked about someone asked you to speak up just a little bit, Christine. Being inclusive. It's really important for us, I'm sure all of you, to be inclusive. One of our challenges is that we have 2 main offices, 2 large offices, and then we have 18 branches. So we have people all over. So it's not just inclusive if someone can't do something physically. It's also including people because of geography and because of their role. So that the program really embraces the diverse needs by offering choices. And that's what everybody wants: a choice. Everybody wants a choice. So the next thing is employee engagement, empowerment. So this is knowing your numbers. And a big part of our program early on was biometric screenings. This was a really wonderful thing to add, because it helps people understand their cardiometabolic numbers. And so it's really important. That's kind of the foundation where you're starting from and what you can work on. So family engagement is another one of the inclusive pieces that we work on. And I was going to ask Vicki, can you talk a little bit more about the family engagement and how we encourage that?
Yeah, so each year we adjust our HSA dollars that people can earn based on what the deductibles are. So we do one for employee only, and then we do one for family. So because we incent people for the family, we figured it was best to get the families involved as well, since they're part of our plan and getting our coverage. So we do walking challenges, the water challenge we have going on right now. So we don't have it accessible for everything that we do, but we do offer, say, 2 challenges a year that we provide points, which equals dollars, where you can also have, if my family's doing the water challenge with me right now, I can get $50 for them to participate in that as well. So we try and expand it to not only just the employee, but their families, because, to spread the wellness across everyone.
Right, and that really helps with engagement too, and people within families can have competitions, and we always find at Firstrust that competitions work really well, because competition for a lot of people is, they've done that all their life. They've done sports or whatever, so competition is kind of in their DNA. So it's always fun, and families do that too. So thanks for that, Vicki. We also like to remove the participation barriers. So there's different ways that people can access the wellness resources. And so we focus on that, but also, and this is, I'm sure anybody who has had a wellness program for more than 5 years, I'm talking to you because I know that confidentiality and trust was a barrier at first. It's always been for me at every company that I've worked for, because you have to build that trust that we don't see the data, we see participation just in the wellness programs, the walks and that kind of thing. Everybody sees that. But as far as the biometric screenings and anything that's private, we never see that, and we don't want to see that. So, but building that trust is really, really important, and making sure that people understand that their data is perfectly safe, that the executives don't see it and we don't see it in HR. So we do focus on that too. Building that trust is really important. So let's talk about measuring effectiveness on the next slide, and the organizational outcomes. Outcomes are always what you want to talk to your executives about. So looking at the health metrics and the screenings, I talked about this annual biometric screening that the organization pays for. And then we have heart age assessments. And Christine or Vicki can talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But it's great because we track it over time. So you can see year over year the progress that you've made, and you can look it up online in our portal. So, people have access to all of this to review for themselves. And then also the participation and engagement. This is really important to measure. And it's not just participation, because that's a check the box kind of thing, and people, of course, are getting their points for that. But the true engagement, how do you measure that? And often we measure that through surveys, and because we want their feedback. Number one, we want their feedback because we want to know that they were engaged, but also we want their feedback so that we can look at the program and make any changes going forward. So, Christine, how do you and Vicki, how do you encourage and improve on our employee participation?
Honestly, we really just try to keep the program fresh. We go out and find new vendors every year. We're not afraid to use things that wouldn't necessarily be our, cup of tea for a topic, but it might not interest us, but it could interest the employee group. So and sometimes we're very surprised by the participation in that, but we also always include raffles. Not on every event, because you want to keep them guessing when they might get something free. Everybody loves a free item, but you want to keep them participating just in case. So I think with keeping it fresh and having raffles, it really keeps people engaged.
Right. We all want free food and giveaways. Those are always popular.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So in the application, let me just point out here, the employee satisfaction, it's really important that you show the numbers and or percentages of the population, because that is showing the impact, because the ROI is very difficult to provide with wellness programs. I've tried to do it in the past. You really need a cohort of people that you follow year over year that participate in various things, especially the biometric screenings, the cardiometabolic results. But there's also other factors that impact someone's success rate. So it's very difficult to give that hard number, but what you can do is you can show the impact of your program, again, through those surveys, and show the outcomes. It says here, and this is what your wellness vendors will tell you, that absenteeism is reduced. If you can provide that kind of a number, tell me how you're doing it, because that's challenging to provide. And then improved productivity. But honestly, you could look at yourself and say, I'm engaged in this. Am I more productive because I'm doing that? Is it the wellness program? I'm meeting up with other people. I feel better about things. I'm getting to know my team better. Yourself that if you feel better physically, mentally, that you're going to feel better about your work. You're going to maybe be more productive. So if you just even look at yourself, you can kind of prove some of that outcome and that impact of a program. So we have our next poll, and this is, since we walked through the 4 pillars, I'm curious where your focus lands in your program. Which dimension of these 4, if you have these 4, which dimension does your organization prioritize most right now? I'm just curious, and I think it's helpful for other people. So where did we land? Yes, I'm not surprised that mental and emotional well-being is the top, followed by physical health very closely. And we hear a lot about mental and emotional well-being. To me, this really came out after the pandemic because of various things that people had gone through. So as a country, as a globe, I think we're all focusing on this. People are going through a lot and have been going through a lot. Things have changed, and we know that change is very difficult, but this is not surprising that it's mental and emotional well-being, and followed by the physical health. So let's talk. Thank you for that. Thank you for participating. And let's talk about supporting those 4 pillars and how we do that, and maybe some thoughts on that. The physical wellness, walking challenges. We just finished one up, or we're in the middle of one. Sorry, Christine, I don't know if we just finished it up. The preventives, I know, I'm honest. Preventive screenings, I've been talking about that a lot. The flu shots, hopefully a lot of people do the flu shots. Another thing I was thinking about that I hadn't added until I went through this again was the sit-stand workstations that we provide for people. If you want, and I'm standing right now as we're delivering this, sit-stand workstations. I don't know if any of you remember the studies on this said that sitting was the new smoking, because how tough it can be on your body, on gastro things, and just your energy level if you're sitting too much, and back problems and all those kinds of things. So we provide, if you request it, that we will provide a sit-stand workstation. Sometimes it's good for people to practice on one, because you think you want it and then you try it and not so much. But I use it probably half of my day, the sit-stand workstation. And Vicki was also talking about the water challenge that we're doing right now. And Christine, would you just talk a little bit about that water challenge? Because it looked really interesting to me. It's not only tracking how much water you're taking in, but also there's an educational piece to it about what that does for you if you drink more water.
Sure. So we kind of merge our vendors together to match our program. So we have a water challenge, like Joyce said, going on with our core wellness vendor, CHC, and that's tracking their water intake over the course of a couple of weeks. And alongside that, we're using another vendor to provide an educational piece on what the benefits of staying hydrated are. And so that's a really important part of scheduling your wellness program, is integrating your topics with across the board for your vendors.
Great. Thank you, Christine. It looked really interesting to me when I saw that pop up, that we're having that educational piece, and I was thinking, I need to drink more water when you see what it does for you physically and mentally. Mark Spool put in the chat that showing the trends over time, especially your numbers and percentages, also helps show the impact over time. And absolutely right on there, Mark. The mental wellness support, we mentioned emotional resilience, and it's kind of funny because right now, today, we're hosting a resilience it's actually a seminar. It's an in-person seminar workshop with Dean Becker on resilience, and that is part of your mental wellness. So I just thought it was funny that we're having that at the same time today. Financial wellness, we're always talking about this. We've been talking about this for years, especially with the 401k vendors. But, 401k focuses on, they used to only focus on retirement, but now the vendors really focus on, creating a budget, and how do you save for your house, and how do you save for college, and those kinds of things. So our vendor is very, very good with hosting monthly webinars on the financial wellness, because that puts a lot of stress on people. And then what comes into that, physical aspects of that stress, and then also the mental wellness comes into that also. And social wellness, getting people together with these team challenges, and the health fairs. The health fairs are just so much fun. And Christine, you were making me laugh earlier because you were saying you never know what people are going to find interesting. And we recently had a wellness fair, and we had the things I liked were the Reiki and the massage, but we had the biggest participation in building air plants. And so I just thought that was fascinating. That who knew that would be the most popular thing.
Yeah, the air plants we just had there as filler. And
Yeah,
that's what everybody loved.
oh, it's so funny. So you just never know. And that's why it's important to try new things. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's okay. You just try something different, and that's the important part. Christine, can you talk about the vendors that we work with? Because we work with a lot of different vendors, and I know we're lucky that we have that opportunity. But if you could talk about that just a little bit. You mentioned CHC.
Sure. So like I said before, CHC is our constant wellness vendor, but we utilize our wellness credits that we receive from our medical plan provider. And so I really go through a wellness credit guidebook from them every year when I go to schedule, and I look through the list of approved vendors to use those credits, and I select a few and kind of go out and see what they have available. We do utilize some staple carriers. For instance, we have Husk Nutrition, and then we also utilized for this year On the Goga, as well as Prasada. So the guidebook really gives you a good, well-rounded list for anything you could think of wellness related.
Great. Thank you, Christine. Yeah, we do have some great vendors that we're working with. We're very fortunate to do that. And I'll talk a little bit more about wellness credits later on. But, we talked about these health fairs that we have. And again, we have the 2 locations. So we have health fairs at both locations. And then we provide opportunities for our branch folks to join in on any kind of demonstration or presentation or anything like that. We record everything that we do so that our branches can also join in. And so let's talk a little bit about the health fairs, preventive care, interactive wellness experiences. We talked about the engaging health fairs and providing the employees. The health fairs, you can bring in your vendors too, your benefits vendors. They're always very happy to come and talk about what they're doing, and they bring giveaways, which are always very popular. And then we have our own giveaways. And then the preventive care access, always flu shots. I think during the pandemic, we had a drive-through. You guys, Vicki and Christine, created a drive-through so people could come up and get their shot right in the comfort of their car. So, always being creative. So the interactive wellness experiences, the nutrition demonstrations, Mark said collecting testimonials is also a nice way to show the impact of your programs. And I just wanted to talk about my experience with the nutrition demos. And these used to be in person, and we had good participation, but that's a lot to plan. And then when the pandemic came, we had to go virtual, and it's been incredibly popular since then. And I joined one. I got this recipe that I use all the time, and I do not cook. So this is a recipe where the vegetables and the meat can be done on the grill. So my husband takes care of that. All I have to do is the pasta and put it together. And it was a nice, healthy recipe. And the great thing about the demos, and this is through Husk, the people that demo it, as they're chopping the vegetables and that type of thing and showing us how much of this and what to do, they're also telling you what the macronutrients are, and they're educating you at the same time. So that's really a nice ad that we have.
Hey, Joyce.
Yes.
I'm going to read a comment from one of our guests.
Thank you. Yeah, please.
This is from Cynthia Brown Smith. Thank you for your comment. My organization is focused on a cure of a rare disease that is fatal. My program focuses on wellness in mind, body, and spirit. Hearing and witnessing the results of this disease from people and their caregivers drains you. I try to ensure that we provide avenues to step away from work and put it away for a while. Things like chair massages, sharing photos of family, friends, and pets in our wellness letters, providing EAP sessions that family members can use, not just the employee.
Wow, that's amazing what you're doing, Cynthia. I applaud you. We all applaud you. That's pretty amazing. And you're right. People need to step away from these things that are draining them. And it's your ideas are fantastic. We had the chair massages in our last health fair, and boy, that was very popular. The sharing photos of family and friends. You have a wellness letter. Now, see, you've given Christine and Vicki this idea about a wellness letter. We do get one from Guardian Nurses. So, but yeah, the EAP sessions that family members can join, that's a great idea. And I'm curious if you bring the EAP into the organization or how you do that. So maybe you can put that in the chat for us. That would be great. And we're going to share a couple more stories. In our next slide, we're going to talk about family engagement and resources. And I'm going to skip right to, we just talked about family participation, but I'm going to skip right to Guardian Nurses. This is a wonderful benefit that we are fortunate to have at Firstrust. It's nurse advocacy. And Vicki, if you'll share your story about your partnership with Guardian Nurses, that would be great.
So Guardian Nurses does our case management, but in addition to doing our case management, they actually do a personal one-on-one if employees reach out and ask for their assistance. So you can call them because you're having trouble getting a doctor's appointment. They will go with you if you are having trouble with something. They can research things. And I myself use this because my son, unfortunately, a couple of years ago was in CHOP. He had bacterial pneumonia that went sepsis. And when you're in there, they kind of basically write your head for you because when they do the thinking when you can't. So they wanted to have my son do an experimental drug. I had no idea what to do, and I thought of them. And I called them, and within 45 minutes, they called back and said, just tell them not at this time, because obviously you want to do everything and anything you could possibly do at that moment, but you just aren't in the mindset to be able to make a decision like that at the moment. And they were my brain at that moment. So I always say they really are a guardian angel as well as a guardian nurse. So anything like that you can offer an employee is invaluable. And everyone that we have, other employees that have used them, everything's been a positive experience. So just like Cynthia was saying, anything that can get the focus and ease someone's, through any type of process is always a great win. And we think Guardian Nurses is one of those avenues.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you so much for sharing that. I get the chills every time I hear you talking about it because, we're all experiencing that with you over again, and that was amazing. And I have my own stories, and I know Christine has her own stories of working with Guardian Nurses, exactly as you say, when you can't think through anything. If you remember that we have the benefit, that's even a good thing. So Cynthia, you're saying you use the EAP from the broker. Okay, 5 sessions for every aspect. And we also have that send out the contact information every month. Okay, about what they offer. That's a good idea. A monthly reminder, because you might get somebody just in the moment of when they need it. You never know when somebody's going to need it. So this is a great reminder. And of course, the confidentiality. Cynthia, that's absolutely right. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate that. So again, this you're talking about it right now, and it's our third bullet point here is about the confidential and crisis counseling access. Cynthia just gave a great example, Vicki, for the EAP, but also the confidentiality is really, really important for people. And we also use the crisis counseling in our bank. If there's an issue in one of our branches, the EAP will come out and work with people on that. So we really appreciate our EAP, and we've gotten some great ideas from you, Cynthia. So thank you. We have another poll, and this is every program runs into a few roadblocks. So let's talk about what's the single biggest barrier to participation that you're facing. What's ours, Christine? Limited time? Maybe?
Limited time.
Yeah.
I think sometimes Christine, what's good about the wellness fairs is Christine loves to ask people if they go in and log their wellness credits.
Yes.
When they're down there. And if you don't, she will walk you right to your desk and show you how to do it. So it's a great time to kind of promote your wellness program.
Yes, that's a great idea. All right. So where did we land? Yes, limited time. And that's it. Everybody is so busy, and then to take time for yourself or your family, the wellness is difficult. And like you said, Vicki, I don't have time to put my wellness points in. Well, Christine's going to show you how, and it's really, so we try to make it really easy for people. That's the important part, is make it as easy for folks as you can. So that encourages them. Hey, if they're going to go get their dental screening or their dental, make their dental appointment because they're going to get 10 or 15 or 20 points for it, great. Okay. Because we want to encourage you to do it. So, that's great. So thanks everybody for participating in that. So the next slide, this is showing the impact. And, so looking at the flu shot participation, these are numbers. It looks like, we're going up every year. And part of that is people's awareness. Part of that is our efforts to make people aware and make it easy for people. This is not only for people that are on our insurance, it's for anybody that wants to get the flu shot. So I think we opened that up a year or two ago. And so we've seen, the trend is going up. So you always want to see the trend going up to the right. And then the family engagement growth, we've seen growth in that, which is great. A lot of that is the programs that we're running where we encourage people to have their family join. So that's fantastic. And the next slide shows our screening participation trend. This is really, like I said, this is a know your numbers. So I'm thrilled to see this growing. And again, I think we changed this a few years ago and included anybody, whether you were on our insurance or not. So anybody at all at Firstrust can get their biometric screening paid for by the organization so that people know their numbers. And word of mouth, of course, is always a good way to educate and to share. The heart age success trend is also trending up, which is fantastic, which means that you're showing impact. If people are meeting or exceeding their heart age, because this is a calculation from the metabolic screening or the biometric screening. So the heart age is a calculation using some of those numbers, and you want to be at your heart age or lower. And so this tells me that people are really being successful with that. Is there anything else you guys want to add, Christine or Vicki, on the heart age? Any comments from people that we have on the heart age?
If sometimes if someone has high cholesterol, just as an example, and it's something that they're being treated for, all they have to do is reach out to CHC, because obviously with the confidentiality, we don't deal with any of that. But it's basically to make sure, it's not to expect that everybody is 100% healthy. It's just to make sure people are under care for anything that might be going on.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
And we do have people within our organization that their heart age might not match. So because of something like that, so they just call and reach out to CHC, and then they make sure that they're included to be able to get compensated for doing everything they needed to, even though their heart age might not look like they're there.
Gotcha. That's really important to know, because many of us have something that we're dealing with. So it's good to know that there's something that people can do. They can just prove that they're being cared for. And that's the important part, right? You have something, you're dealing with it. That's the most important thing. So in the next slide, we talk about how to plan, and Christine is a planner. So I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but you'll all have it to see and use if you want to. And but the first thing is identifying the wellness credits, and this is through your vendor, your healthcare vendor, and negotiate. Negotiate. If you have 10,000 points, then ask for 15 the next year, and then ask for 20. And then if you show that you're using it and that what the impact is, negotiate for that, or have your broker negotiate for that. And we've been successful in doing that. So identify those wellness credits and use those wellness credits. You can always use them at the end for a raffle, get some type of Apple Watch or something like that, or a couple of them, and raffle them off. You're never going to run out. You're never going to have too many wellness points. Let's just put it that way, if you have a robust program like that. And then Christine creates a calendar. She determines the key topics from assessments. Let's go to the next slide, because we're about 10 minutes to the end here. Vendor exploration, we talked a little bit about this, because every year you look at it and you say, which vendors am I going to use? There's new vendors available, so you have to have demo calls and that kind of thing, because you don't want to put somebody out there that you haven't talked to yet. And then you create the draft of the wellness plan and scheduling the calls. So Christine has this, as you can see, this process put into a project, basically. So line item by line item, she knows what to do. And also she has a calendar. I don't know if this is on the next slide, it might be getting ahead of myself, but she has a physical calendar, because that's what works for her. And everybody has something different that works for you. So whatever reminder system you're using to educate and to remind people and communicate, that's the important thing. These are all a takeaway for you, these line items. So let's go to the next slide. How to plan, finalizing, and how to organize, creating this workbook, doing the final review with your vendor if you have one, and then entering the events into a personal calendar. Like I said, that works for Christine. For those of you who do not have vendors and you have to do this on your own and you don't have money, you have no budget for this, what I can say is I've been in that position before, and what I was able to do was, you can have a health fair. You ask your vendors to come. They all are very happy to come. They'll bring tables, whatever. All you have to do is organize it, and they'll bring food and they'll bring giveaways, and you can start with that kind of a health fair to get started. And your vendors, your benefits vendors, will often have programs that are free that you can talk to them about. Now, if you want to hire a vendor, you can also, if you can save money somewhere. Now, sometimes you save money and your boss says, okay, that's just going to go into the general. Thank you very much for saving that money. But if you can save the money and then use it, so let's say you renew your contract with your life and disability vendor and you save $10,000. Well, maybe you can use that $10,000 for your wellness program. So just a thought. Yep, we're willing to share the slide deck. Absolutely. We're proud of it, so we're very willing to share that. Anything to add on here, Vicki and Christine, before we do our final poll?
I mean, just try new stuff. You never know what's going to work and won't. We try it. If it doesn't go over real well, we just, wait a little bit and then try it again at another point in time. So, and like Joyce said, we keep all those things. If you have extra dollars at the end of the year, that's when we get all our Apple Watches, and that's what we keep for the raffles. So it's always a good addition to have. So it's really hard to not use the money. So you would be surprised how quickly you can use it. So
yes.
Yeah. And I would just say, don't be afraid to have fun with it, but also, don't be afraid to apply for the award, because you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your team to be recognized for the hard work and the creativity, all the care that you invest in your program. So don't be afraid to be recognized.
Absolutely. That's a good way to end our little presentation here, but we do have one last poll. And that is, let's talk about determining the impact. How are you measuring your program success today? Okay, let's see what people are doing to measure. Participation rates. Yep, that's good. That's a great one to start with. Are people coming? Because that shows that they're interested. And the biometric outcomes, absolutely. That's, one of the best ways to do it, actually, because you're seeing the results, the physical results. And of course, that also is mental health also, satisfaction. If you don't measure anything, I would definitely start out with participation rates. You can even just have a sheet that people do a sign-in, and that they participated in whatever event that you've had, or your vendors. I would use your vendors for participation if you have a vendor. We have that CHCR wellness vendor, and they can give us reports on participation, of the walking challenges and the water challenge and that kind of thing. We get participation rates from them. But, some other thoughts, I'm sure Christine and Vicki could help with that too.
All right, guys. Joyce, is that a wrap?
That's a wrap. The final one is just what makes our approach successful. And of course, number one is executive sponsorship. It's part of our culture. It's not a standalone program. And we address the 4 pillars. We partner with the experts rather than trying to build everything internally. I understand that some people, if you're an HR department of one, you're building it internally, very likely. Measuring the engagement consistently, and then continuous improvement, like Vicki and Christine have said. Look at it, have fun with it. Oh, thanks, Christine, for putting our contact information in there. That's a wrap, Scott. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you, Joyce and team, Christine, Vicki. So yeah, Mark Spool said, besides showing impact, it's valuable to show all the components, the work/aspects of your program, and the thinking behind them that goes into them, as Firstrust Bank did, is valuable. Thank you, Mark. So
Thanks, Mark.
Just to wrap up, I want to thank all of our partners. Challenger Gray and Christmas, represented by David Panett, who I believe is on our call today. John Ford from Marsh McLennan Agency, who I believe is on our call today. And then John Toohey from Trilogy Talent Advisors, who I don't believe joined us, or Littler, which is Malcolm Ingram, and of course myself. And then we of course want to thank all of our sponsors, Kelly Benefits, Diamond Sponsor, Aramark Villanova, Firstrust Bank. Thank you, Joyce and Co. Double Star, HR Computes. I think Morris is here on the call today. Yes. Meditation for Leadership.
Thank you, Sandra.
Steve Cohen and Company, and Neurodiversity Employment Network. So I want to thank all of our sponsors. And I believe that's all we have. Had a couple comments. Sandra, excellent program, wonderful ideas on setting up. Thank you. So hopefully you guys learned something today in a little bit more detail from Joyce and her team. And again, we encourage you to consider applying this year. We're recommending somebody else to apply. And I put my email address also in the chat if you want to talk about the application process. So thank you, guys. And we have 2 more webinars coming up. One is in August. And then I think we have another one in September. August is going to be with our Diamond sponsor, Kelly Benefit Strategies. And then September is going to be with Aramark, who is also a winner last year. So thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Have a good day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
And enjoy.